And today's topic is savoring life's deliciousness. We get so wrapped up in our busy lives, doing, that we just don't take time to stop and smell the roses. And maybe it is smelling the roses that is truly the essence of life. So that's what we're going to talk about today. But before we get started, let's take a minute or two to get present. Let's take a deep breath in through your nose and hold it. And imagine clean, crisp oxygen flooding your lungs, flowing into your bloodstream, nourishing all your cells, all your organs, bringing vital life energy to your body and being. And as you exhale any tension, stress, negativity, fatigue. And now let's take another deep breath in through your nose and hold it. This time, imagine brilliant, bright light lighting you up from the inside out, illuminating, electrifying, and energizing all the cells, all your molecules, all your electrons, creating a brilliant beam of light and energy from your heart out into the world. And as you exhale any remaining tension, stress, negativity, fatigue. And now let's press our palms together, vigorously rub your hands together to feel the friction, the temperature, the pressure, the motion, the tickling and tingling when you stop, and allow all those sensations to bring you present right here, right now, into this remarkable physical form that enables us to experience life. Welcome. Good morning, Rosalind. So good to be having you join us this morning. And welcome to everybody else who may be with us. We're talking today about savoring life's deliciousness. I think when we talk about the senses, we typically we mention taste, we mention smell, but we don't necessarily talk about really tasting life, really savoring its deliciousness. And I don't know about you, but there are some colors that are so rich that I feel like I'm tasting them, like that they're inhabiting me in a way that is way beyond the visual, that it actually feeds into my cells and feeds my spirit and my soul. And we were talking the other day about magic and noticing the magic. And as we notice more of it, and maybe even create a journal for it, that we recognize, the more we notice, essentially. And I think if we can provide ourselves with a way to savor, to work savoring into our lives as a practice, that our lives will be vastly enhanced. That what is life about anyway? Is it about getting all the stuff done? Because getting all the stuff done is never going to happen. There's always more stuff to do, right? And on the way of getting all the stuff done, we often sacrifice our beingness, our presence, our joy, our quality of life, just to get stuff done. To what end? And maybe the being of alive is allowing that savoring, even in the tough moments, even when we're filled with sorrow or rage, to even appreciate those moments. But if we can allow ourselves that moment, the distance, I guess, to step back from all the crazy chaos that we generate around ourselves, and just allow that we can savor the beauty, the wonder, the taste, the smell, the facial expression, just to bask in the deliciousness. There is such deliciousness. We have this physicalness that is our lived corporeal experience that has such a richness of sensation, sensory experience on so many different levels. And we have the named senses that we're most familiar with, our sense of sight and hearing and taste and touch and smell. But we also have other senses that we haven't necessarily named, and maybe and have most likely not developed as fully, where we can connect over distances with people. Like, who hasn't had the experience when you think of someone and the phone rings and it's them, or these weird synchronicities where the connections between things become so much more apparent, where there's this underlying web of interconnectivity that every now and then becomes sort of visible, where we can kind of see under the hood and notice this sense of connection, which is what we were talking about yesterday. I've been going on walks in the morning, and I'm very, very graced to live in an area where there are lots and lots of trees and lots of green. And it's been such a gift to take that time in the mornings and walk and see what things I'd never seen before, to find a connection with where I live that I've never had before, even though most of my life has been spent in this same area, finding all these hidden treasure places where, like today, I walked down what looked like it might have been a driveway, but it was this wonderful road that was winding along a creek that was behind a major road, just completely hidden and very arboreal, very remote. It felt so remote, and yet it was right next to a major road in a very developed suburb. And so finding these treasures and see even the buildings, just it's inspiring to see with new eyes. And I think, how we were talking about magic the other day, and the more we acknowledge it, the more we recognize it, the more we see. I think that that's the way it is, the way of wonder also, is the more we cultivate it, the more we experience it, the more we recognize and acknowledge it, the more present it becomes in our lives, the more available to us it becomes. And this is a way that we can lighten our spirits. This is a way that we can refocus ourselves in the world. And when we come from that place of wonder and connection, I think that not only is it generative in terms of being revitalizing and revivifying, but I think it opens us to new potentials, new possibilities that might have otherwise been unavailable to us. And we expand ourselves, we expand our awareness, and in expanding our awareness, it's a virtuous cycle, I think, that expanded awareness expands awareness, so to speak. And all of this can come from savoring, just relishing, all these food words, right? Delicious, sweetness, all this delight, it's available to us as we allow ourselves to drink it in, to presence ourselves physically to that, to the deliciousness that goes beyond our taste buds, that goes beyond our gut and our belly, but that ripples out into all our cells and just makes them dance. So I'm wondering, like, when you think of life's deliciousness, what shows up for you? Is it something like chocolate cake, or is it this incredible play of color and light? What's the experience? What's the deliciousness for you that you can connect to, that kind of makes your cells and spirit sing in harmony to one another? When we have this feeling of radiance, and it is a radiating feeling, like this feeling that just sort of wells up from the heart and radiates out, radiates into the throat, radiates down your arms, through your fingers, down through your toes, where you can just sort of feel yourself beaming. What is it that helps you to generate that experience of radiance, of beaming, of savoring? Because while the savoring experience is a very internal one, my experience, at least what I'm trying to convey here about the savoring experience, is that it's actually a radiant one, that as it bubbles up from inside and just expands out and radiates. And we have the ability to be communicating that to the world, to having that be the exchange. We're receiving whatever the impulse is, and we're just embodying it and expanding it. So Rosalind says, getting into a hot car, not rolling down the windows after being in an air-conditioned office. It's too cold inside. Wow, wow, wow. That's such a great image. Wow, is that rich? I can relate, where we, particularly in summer, it's impossible to be inside in so many environments because it's like being in refrigeration. And I don't know about you, but my fingers get so cold. My hands get so cold, and feet. And so getting into a hot car afterwards to be able to get warm in the summer, that's such a really rich image. Thank you so much for that. Good morning, Serge. Welcome. It's so good to have you here with us. And Uthapa. I don't know how to pronounce your name, but uh, Uth, please forgive me if I'm saying it incorrectly. Uthapa, it feels much greater to give love than to receive it. Well, don't they say that the gift of love is one that we receive in Uthapa? Uthapa. Uthapa. Thank you, Uthapa. Much appreciated for the pronunciation coaching there. When we give love, we are receiving it, right? It's in the experience of giving love that we're being loving. So we're in the experience of love. Thank you for that. That's really, it's, it, I guess that these are all expressions of love and connection when we can really embody and enjoy and vibrate with this deliciousness of life, just of life itself. Like how much when we're so wrapped up in our doingness, we can be very disconnected from just life itself, like breathing, like hearing the birds and recognizing the trees and like that life is all around us, that we are embodying life. And what is that in its essence? Like to be relishing the breath, even relishing the experience of being alive. So Sarah says, true love is freely received, freely given, because it's unconditional. True love, I agree with you, Serge. And it is unconditional. And many of us have experienced love as a conditional circumstance. Growing up, for example, there was a very conditional expression of love in my family, and it's been kind of a revelation to be contending with that and finding a place to trust, to find a place to experience that unconditionality. Very interesting. Uthapa says, the streaming radiance of love, I believe, is something cultivated. To me, I practice it in meditation. Uthapa, your language and grammar and syntax is awesome. So no apologies necessary. But I agree with you that finding that place of unconditionality is something that is cultivated. It's something that can be learned, something that can be developed, and certainly is part of that richness. Maybe that savoring, that deliciousness, that radiance that's bubbling up and out when we presence ourselves to the miracle of life, really, to the miracle of how everything exists and is interconnected and cycles and communicates with everything else. It's really miraculous just that life exists, that we can recognize that we are alive. And what does that mean? To find a way to be connecting to our vibrance, to just being alive, rather than all the doing and all the stuff we think is so important, to just be experiencing what this physical experience is. It's quite extraordinary. So many of us on a spiritual path try to transcend the body, that we kind of exile the body. We want to be beyond it. And we often vilify it and minimize it. And the same with the ego, that we want to transcend the ego. We want to live beyond the physical. But the thing is, what if the physical itself is a spiritual experience? If we are spirit inhabiting the physical, how about making the physical a spiritual experience? These senses, it's miraculous. To have our physical body, to have a personality, an ego through which we express light and spirit somehow. It's extraordinary. So Uthapa says, love also is not confined to a feeling, but is also a form of intent and willingness. So beautifully said, Uthapa. Thank you for that. That's really true, that love, when we think of love as a feeling, it can be very variable. But when we have it as a focus of intention and will and commitment, to be an expression of love, that is something that transcends the feeling and the limitations of the feelings. Sir says we have to forgive even religion that got us in this mess in the first place. Yeah, we have to forgive even religion. So where there's this separation, right? There's, I don't want to get into the whole conversation around religion versus spirituality, but we have to find our way back, to find our way back to the richness of life itself, the miracle of life itself, the wonder of our physicalness, the wonder of our thinking and being and interacting, and the interconnection of everything around us. Uthapa says the core connection. It really is. It really is such a miracle. Such a miracle. And even in the deepest despair, there's still the miracle. The range of emotion that we can experience, the range of sensation, the range of all the senses and beyond, all the ideas, all the experience, the spectrum of it. It's extraordinary. It's miraculous. And presencing ourselves to that miracle, even like the the craziness that we also experience, like how crazy we make the world, how crazy we or the crazy situations we create, the ways that we prioritize things, the ways that we elevate certain things to such incredible importance, the things that we think are so important and so real that we're willing to kill each other over it. Uthapa says infinite potentials, infinite expressions, and we're all part of it. And we can really truly treasure and bask in the wonder of it all. The wonder of the simplest things, like that our nails grow, or that if we have hair that grows, or that if it falls out. I mean, like, it's just wondrous. And if we can give ourselves the grace to savor that, it elevates us to a whole different frequency of being. And in that frequency, the potentials and possibilities that are available to us are vastly different than at a lower frequency. And so Sarah says that's why when we forgive, it's a spiritual detox. This thing about forgiveness, I think that true forgiveness means that there's nothing anymore to have to forgive. Is that whatever it was that was the offending thing that we're trying to forgive, true forgiveness says there is nothing to forgive. There's no need. I don't know if that resonates for you, but try it on. Because if we're forgiving something, we're still holding that something is wrong. And if we get to a place of full forgiveness, then it's like there's nothing anymore to forgive. There's just acceptance. So Uthapa says, one thing I've learned is not to deny oneself the feelings, but to let go immediately what doesn't serve or does more damage. I agree with you 100%. We don't deny the feelings. And I often see that the feelings are a communication that offer us an opportunity to complete or heal something for ourselves. So letting go immediately isn't necessarily possible. And the feelings are an invitation to dive more deeply, to say, well, what's going on that those feelings are arising? What's the wound that's calling to be healed? And when we can't just let go, right? Because oftentimes the letting go immediately is denial. So anyway, that's it for this morning, folks. This has been such a joy. So much gratitude for you, for your engagement. And I'm Mira Rubin. This is the Core Connection. I go live here each weekday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern on the Enlightened World Network Facebook page and YouTube channel. And I invite you to like, follow, and share Enlightened World Network and me. The links are in the description. Rosalind, you too, and everybody else who's joining us, have a great weekend. And as always, it's such a delight and a privilege. And good morning, Dido. Welcome. Such gratitude to you all, and lots of love. Until next time. Namaste. Good day to you.